Touchdown Tampa Bay, you're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome back to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host. This is our fan interaction show. You guys have been sending in iTunes reviews. We've gotten comments and tweets and some questions from you guys, and we've got several emails to get through. This is really your portion of the show, fans. And this is one of those segments, Ren, that became, it was a smaller segment inside a bigger show, and it's sort of blown up a little bit to be worth its own separate podcast. So, Ren, I'm going to welcome you back into the show, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Even though I am vertical right now, laying in bed, because my whole body feels like it's cramping up. I feel like I'm getting sick, but I think what really happened was I drank too many sodas today, and it dehydrated me, so I'm drinking a lot more water. So if you hear me excruciating pain during this fan interaction show, it's because I didn't hydrate. Remember that, kids. Hydration.
Stay hydrated, especially in Florida. And for the record, you cannot be laying down in vertical at the same time. You're actually horizontal. So if he goes vertical, that's just proof that he's a little dehydrated. He's not sure what direction he is right now.
Yeah. Or I'm an idiot. One of those things is actually true.
All right. Well, if you guys are joining us for the first time, this is actually a segment that kind of started in the middle of the season last year, and we're picking it up. So here's the way this works. We start with iTunes reviews. We've got a brand new iTunes review to read. We do read all those. And then we're going to go to just kind of some of the tweets and comments, maybe things that deserve a little bit more than just a 140 character response or 250, whatever they give you on Twitter these days. 280. Wow. Something that deserves a little bit more of a response than that. And then we've got some emails from our fellow fans that we're going to get in and read. And there's some fun stuff in there about their thoughts and things from the game this past week. So we'll go ahead and dive into a brand new iTunes review, Ren, that we have. This one comes from Big Oops 1.
All right.
And it's titled Number One Bucks Podcast. We get 5 stars from that. So thank you for that. We always prefer the 5-star ratings, although we'll take them even if they're only 4 stars and they give us 4 stars because they can't keep up with all the episodes.
Yeah.
As our last person did.
What's up with that, Big Mama?
What's up, Big Mama? And Jubear. But this one says, I started following this podcast last season, and now I can't wait for every new episode. I'm a huge Bucks fan in Iowa. I've been a diehard through thick and thin since 1986. Big oops. I want to know what happened in 1986 that made you a Bucks fan. Like, were you just born into it, or was there something that happened that caught your eye? It is, well, what is it? It's hard to get an insightful, send us an email, thepewtercast@gmail.com. Would love to hear that story. He or she continues, says it's hard to get insightful Buccaneer news in the Midwest, especially when all the local media covers Vikings and the Packers. So discovering this podcast was like having a ticket to the water cooler at One Buck Place, now called Advent Healthcare Training Facility.
Did he put that, or did you add that?
I added that. He says, great coverage, guys. Keep up the good work, and you have a lifelong fan here in Hawkeye country.
Nice. That's a cool email. I like to hear ones like that, especially, of course, all fans are equal, unless you're a Patreon, then you're above everybody else. But all fans are equal. But it makes me feel better for some reason. And once again, if you're in the Tampa area and could drive to Bucks games, don't get your panties in a wad. I just really like providing a service to those fans who, like, the only place they can get Bucks information is the internet. Like, they can't get it on TV, they can't get it on their local radio, and this podcast seems come around. It's just a little different to be able to hear it, and you feel like you're actually interacting with us, and now that you are, but you get closer to them than just sort of like reading an article on Joe Bucks Fan, or reading an article on Buccaneers.com, or reading an article on Pewter Report.
Right.
And it just makes me feel better. As a person, it means it. I think I'm getting into heaven quicker by providing this service to these, people who just can't get this information.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, as a person who has been an out of market, this podcast started while I was an out of market fan,
right?
And I think that's part of why we tend to cover so much of we I'd say we're in probably 90 to 95% of what we cover is just what happens with the Buccaneers in football. But there is that other, 5, 10, maybe it's grown a little bit more than that, where we talk about the fan experience, about what it is for the camaraderie, because especially when you're an out-of-market fan, you're alone. It's real lonely out there. So to have hey, here's what happened at this tailgate, or here's what happened at the draft party, or here's what's happening, here's this thing they did with fans, in the new training facility or whatever, that to me is all a part of, being a fan and getting to kind of at least vicariously experience those things.
Right.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Big Oops. Like I said, send us an email. I'd love to know what happened. What was it in 1986 that you became a diehard Bucs fan? That'd be really fun.
Yeah, we like those stories.
Yeah. So, all right. So that is our new iTunes review. If you guys have not submitted an iTunes review yet, we would ask you guys to do that. We will take any review in any of the podcasting apps, but the iTunes ones especially really help get us noticed. As people are searching for new Buccaneer podcasts, and there's a lot of them for people to choose from. There's so many, and now in different languages, and which we want to get those guys as a guest on the show. I want to talk to some of those guys and whatever. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
What do you want to get the Spanish podcast on here?
Yeah, I'd love to talk to them.
What if they don't speak English?
They do. Anyway. But
fake news.
I want to find out. Part of the fan experience. Right. Anyway, all of that to say, guys, leaving iTunes reviews it helps other people find us, and it just helps kind of spread the word about the Pewtercast. So thank you to those of you who have already left reviews, and those of you who have not, listen, just head over to iTunes. Even if you listen to us on another podcasting app, go over to iTunes, leave us a rate and review, and then go back to listening to us on whatever podcasting platform you prefer. And we will make sure that we read that on an upcoming episode of Fan Interaction that we have. All right, let's jump over, Ren. We had a couple of tweets. We've actually had several tweets over the last week, but a couple of them that were kind of like, hey, I want to talk about these. And the first one came in actually for me fairly early this morning. It comes from our friend Port Richie Lou.
Lou, yeah.
Who sent us a very cool.
He went to New Orleans.
Yeah, he went to New Orleans. He was part of the Bourbon Street takeover or whatever they called it with Justin and the Stick Carriers. Yep. Sounds like they had a ton of fun, and I can't wait. I definitely want to hear about that from those guys. I can't wait to hear about all that. But here's what he says, and this is actually one tweet or comment that kind of encapsulates a lot that we've actually been receiving here lately, Ren. It says, Brent and Ren, I just wanted to let you guys know you're doing a great job. Thanks for the information and coverage on the Pewtercast. Go listen. So Lou, thank you for that. And like I said, there's been several, and I don't want to get into just reading tweets and comments about how people saying how great we are. But I got to tell you guys,
like, what are we, the Ira Coffin podcast? Hi-oh.
I got to tell you guys, in doing that for me anyway, Ren, I don't know what it does for you, but for me, it really fuels me to hear that kind of stuff. So,
when you see it, yeah,
it does.
This is why we do it. It really is. It's the same thing with Oops. Was it Big Oops?
Big Oops won. Yeah.
Big Oops won in Iowa. Yeah. It's just, it's the same thing. When we get that little bit of feedback that, that let us know that we're doing a good job, that people appreciate it, that's why we do it.
Right.
It's why it's what gets me up in the morning.
Right. So there's been a lot of those comments that have come through on YouTube with our new platform that we have going on over there this year, and all that kind of stuff. So to everybody who sent us those comments, thank you guys so much. But Lou actually just kind of sent that out as a personal one for us. So
that was cool.
Definitely appreciate that. All right. Another one that we had we had a guy Junior O or JRO. On Twitter sends us a question, Ren, for us to banter back and forth a little bit. Says, do you guys think that Jason Pierre-Paul is playing with he says undisciplined, I think he means undisclosed injury. It seems he seems slower off the ball than I remember, or maybe it's just me. What do you think? JPP playing with an injury?
Yes, hang on. Sorry. Apparently now the cramps have settled in my chest. It's making me cough. I saw Rick Stroud report that JPP went off like somewhere in the middle of the first quarter, even maybe the first quarter of the first quarter. If you allow me to get away with that, that was terrible. I'm sorry. But he came back and played. But if you look at his total plays, he actually didn't play a lot. So it's entirely possible. I don't think he recorded a stat all game. He did get a couple of Craig got close a few times, but trying to get Drew Brees is like trying to catch smoke. Mm-hmm. Catch smoke with your bare hands. What movie, Brent?
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I don't know.
Sirius Black.
Is it really? Oh,
yeah.
Really?
They're in the Great Hall.
Yeah.
And Sirius Black's been spotted. He's been spotted in what's Hogsmeade.
Huh.
It's like trying to catch smoke. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. Of course, that's supposed to be an English accent, not that whatever I just did.
I've never heard that, but I probably will from now on. And I love that movie. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So he didn't play as much as we thought he was going to play. I think he even played less than the team wanted him to. So I didn't look at him. I didn't focus in on him when I rewatched the game for the DAC stats. So I can't really comment about how he played or how he didn't play it. I know he didn't put any stats in, but that necessarily doesn't paint the whole picture. But we will see Wednesday. We will see Wednesday how big of an injury it is, if he's limited or if he's not participating at all. If he's full participation Wednesday, no one's 100% after week one. That's just the way it is.
Right. So yeah, those first injury reports, I know several of the media people have asked about it already, and Cutter's given them the standard answer of injury reports coming, and we'll see it then. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll certainly we have a fourth show. Actually, in some cases, you kind of say it's the first show of our week that comes out. It's our Buck in the News show, and we go over all the injury reports and all the news and stuff that comes out from there. So you guys be sure to join us. You can look for that coming out fairly late on Friday night, very early Saturday morning. To kind of wrap up the entire week. So, I don't know. He might be. I got to be honest, though. I really expected JPP to play a lot. And, I know, like, when he came in there, there's reports like, what was it? He played something like 98% of the snaps or something last year or something stupid. And they were like, yeah, well, we're going to rotate him when he gets down here. Ha, 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 ha. And I always kind of had the idea that Pierre Paul would be like, yeah, no, I'm staying in. Shut up. Yeah. And he would just walk on the field, and, there is no other defensive end that's going to say no.
Some of the things you think of are just so who's going to do that? It's like you watch too many movies. Like,
might be true. You might be right. Yeah, but
you can't tell me I'm the biggest dude here. I play when I want to play. Like,
no, but here's I think JPP would make a stink about it. Now, he may not in the middle of the game, but my point being is I just figured JPP, I honestly thought that he was going to play more than be some sort of rotation. So the fact that he was in rotation and that he played a lot less is a little surprising to me, because I really did think he was going to play a lot more than that. So, is it due to an undisclosed injury? Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, Stroud said it was.
Okay, well, there you go.
You didn't listen to the first part of my answer? What were you doing?
No, I did there. I didn't hear that before.
Oh, yeah,
said
that's
that.
what I started that. Yeah, Stroud reported that early in the first quarter that JPP appeared to leave with an injury.
Yeah.
Now he came back, and then I went into like he didn't play as many plays as probably the Bucs wanted him to, and he want to, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so there is something there, and like I said, we'll cap it off. We'll find out Wednesday.
Right. All right. So that's it. So thank you, Junior O or JRO, for sending that in. Definitely appreciate that. All right. One more question comes in from our friend Gene, super heavyweight over at Buck What You Heard.
Yeah, Gene.
Says, how do I get a t-shirt? Well, that's really easy, guys. Huh?
He asked me that, and I told him, I said, go buy one.
Well, if you guys are interested in sporting some PewterCast gear, there's two ways you can do that. One, you can go over to patreon.com/thepewtercast and become a patron. And there is a certain level in there that will get you a PewterCast gear pack. I keep promising to send those out, and I've got to get those sent out for the ones who are already at that level. But that'll get you a hat and a t-shirt. So that's one way to do it. Or if you just want to just get the t-shirt, that'll work as well. You can actually go to redbubble.com, and if you just search for the Pewtercast, that should find you there, and you can kind of browse through those t-shirts. We do have a website that's coming here soon, Ren. That's kind of one of the big improvements we got coming up this year. And the shop will be included in that. Websites are beyond my personal capability, so I'm having to outsource this one a little bit. So, just trying to get the stuff done, and it's going to look great, but we'll have the shop there for you guys to go check it out. But until then, redbubble.com is where you go, and then just search for the Pewtercast, and you can go ahead and order the shirt now. You can also get one of those fun tapestries that Ren has behind him. So
yeah. Phone cases, travel mugs. Like, this place will slap our label on anything. It really will.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a travel mug. It's awesome.
Do you?
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, and I'm not making fun of Gene or calling him any type of frugal type of person, but I think he's kind of looking for a free one, but here's the thing. We don't have them. Brett doesn't have a box. If he didn't hey, print me up 100 t-shirts and ship it to my house. This is all done through the website.
Right. So
when you order it, that's when it's printed. So if you're kind of come on, man, just give me a free t-shirt. We don't have any. We just don't have them.
Yeah, although I do have to say, for Gene, I'd get one for him and send it to him.
Yeah.
So Gene, hit me up, man. We'll talk about that.
Where's your Buck What You Heard t-shirt?
It's true, Gene. You got to get one printed in my size, man.
I don't have one. I'm a medium.
I'm am basic. Bigger than that.
I'm basic.
So
I don't got no Buck What You Heard t-shirt.
There you go. I got a What the Buck t-shirt. I got one of those.
I don't have one of those either.
There you go. But anyway, that's how you get a t-shirt, Gene. Anybody else out there can get a t-shirt as
Gene.
well.
Love you.
# shameless plug. All right.
I wonder if that's why he really sent it in, and I just totally misread it. He was just sending it in so we could promote the place where you could get our gear.
I read it
as quit asking for free t-shirts. We don't have any.
All right.
I told you I'm cramping.
He's cramping. Oh, he doesn't have his Midol yet.
All
right. All right, moving on to emails. We got a couple of emails here to hit up, Ren. The first one comes in from our friend Wesley O'Connor. I don't know if there's any relation to you there or not.
How do you spell it?
Exactly the same.
Which is?
O''Connor.
Capital C?
Capital C.
And first name's Wesley?
Wesley.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't really keep up with family. I could have 18 cousins that are old enough to vote, and I would never know. So.
Well, Wesley writes in, he says, "Hey guys, I keep hearing that the defense wasn't all that great. And while I agree to an extent, I also think that 16 points in the fourth was a bit of a prevent defense than wanting them to use that clock. When you let Breeze walk down the field and get in the red zone, he is going to score. I guess what I'm saying is 16 points came in garbage time. What do you guys think?"
There's a reason why everyone's last name O'Connor is brilliant. And I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's gamma rays, positive isotopes. I don't, super serum. I don't know why. But I can just tell you that, Wesley, just go back and listen to the previous pod. Final
That's exactly what we said, right?
It's exactly almost verbatim what we said. So I'm with you. Once you sort of sit down and watch the second half, the Bucs defense really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
Yeah, and as you say, they were trying to get them to chew up time off the clock.
Yeah, especially that last touchdown.
Yeah. All right. So yes, and Wesley, thank you for sending in that email. A good question for sure.
You're brilliant.
All right. Next email comes in from our friend Trevor in Orlando.
I feel like I haven't heard from Trevor for a while.
He's in the Instant Cast chat rooms all the time. I don't remember if he's in the Mixler or the YouTube one, but he is there.
Right.
But we have him here, and here's what I think Trevor's also a part of our Pewtercast Fantasy Football League too, Ren. I don't remember if he's in the BFC or RFC.
Did you win week 1?
I did. I won my game week 1 by a lot, 150 to 85.
Oh my God, Jesus!
All right, moving on.
Play a girl?
No.
I'm cramping.
Let's hear. It says Brent and Ren, great
I
Instacast.
Thank you for asking.
There you go. Great instant cast on Sunday. Thanks for showing enthusiasm for the win, but not going crazy with how good the offense looked or how poor the defense looked, as much of Twitter and Facebook are doing. Before going into my thoughts on the game, I just wanted to point out that I think Wren was spot on with his take as to why Ronald Jones was inactive on Sunday. He didn't dress because Grimes was hurt, and given the inexperience of the rest of the corners, they needed as many options as possible.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And, I talked about in the last pod a little bit that if Ronald Jones could pass protect as well as Joe Rogers would be the one that would be inactivated. Mm-hmm. And don't think Sean Wilson was activated, that he's a better running back than Rojo. The only reason Sean Wilson is activated is because he returns kickoffs. So it was just sort of a perfect storm. And to be honest, looking forward to the Eagles game, we just picked up a new cornerback today as we're recording, Marcus Williams. I wouldn't be shocked if Rojo's not active against Philly either. Just the way the injuries are panning out and what we need. Mm-hmm. So,
yep. All right, he continues. He says, with that, I'll start with the DBs, the defensive backs. The Bucs' top three corners were two rookies and a third-year player who had a down year in 2017 and is coming off an injury. Hopefully these kids will grow up real quick and things will be better by the bye week or when Grimes returns, whichever comes first. While I was hoping for more out of the defensive line, they did play well. Not great, but well. I think they'll get better as they play more and get used to how those around them play as well.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it on previous pods. I feel like I'm answering every question like this. I talked about that in a previous pod. But what I was really afraid of was gashing up the middle. Because if you could just run the ball up the middle against the Bucs, you could do it last year, and it was 4 yards minimum, probably more likely 7 yards. And you could just repeat it. And if I felt that if the Saints could do that, there was no way we could win. So the defensive line got a sack, should have got two more. Breeze wiggled out of two to a guy who gives up the least amount of yards and sacks every year, gets one of the, hardly ever gets sacked because he just gets the ball out. So I thought the pass rush was fine. It wasn't great. I thought it was fine. I thought the run defense was very good. So that's where I am on the defensive line. And week one on the road, Hall of Fame quarterback, very good offensive line. I have really nothing to complain about.
Trevor goes on. He says, my only real area of concern after one game on that side of the ball is the linebackers. This was supposed to be our best defensive unit, and I saw way too many missed tackles and poor angles. For as long as these guys have been playing together, this should not be how they performed coming out week one. I'm not saying we need to overhaul the unit. I'm just a little concerned. And given the fact that Grimes was out, how many points and yards this defense gave up shouldn't be a big surprise. I'd like our team to play better, but I think most teams in the league would be surrendering at least 35 points to the Saints in New Orleans with their top corner out. Ultimately, I don't think this defense will be as bad this year as the stat sheet for this one game makes it look.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we've been saying, right?
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna sort of go in a different direction on this, because I've been waiting for a time to sort of squeeze this in. My thoughts on the linebacker position. All I will say on everything else you said is I agree with you, except that don't think that since Grimes is out, and if Grimes comes back, this secondary is going to start clamping down on people. Grimes didn't have a great training camp. Yes, he's our best cover corner. Yes, he plays off coverage, but Father Time's going to catch up with everybody someday. And it just might be the year. It might not. People have been saying Brady's, this is the year Brady's going to fall off the cliff. They've been saying it for like half a decade. So take that with a grain of salt. But just because Grimes coming back, don't expect just to flip the switch and be the missing piece to the defense, only giving up 13 points a game. Now, the linebackers. We like our linebackers, right? Mm-hmm. We think we have one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL, right?
We certainly did last year, and that is the reason that Mark Duffner won the Petercast Award for Coach of the Year last year, was because they're one of the best, and that unit did not change a whole lot between last year and this year.
Didn't change at all. Just got a guy injured who's not there.
Right.
No, I guess Bond's gone now. You see that they came in injury settlement with Bond, Riley Bulla, and the guy we got from New Orleans, a cornerback,
Harris.
Yeah, it looks like you were right. You're like, they're going to cut him as soon as the Saints game. They cut him before.
Yeah,
you're not going to play. You're cut.
Right.
So here's what I'm saying with the linebackers. somebody from NFL.com, I believe, came out and 10 best linebacking groups in the NFL. Guess who wasn't on that list? That's right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because our linebacking core isn't as good as we think. If you watch any NFL game, and I watched a lot of them this week. I saw the Thursday night game. Of course, I saw the Bucs game. Then I saw the 4 o'clock game. I saw the Sunday night game. And then I saw both Monday night games. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6 games I saw. You know how many times the announcer said they have a very good linebacking core? Every time. You know why? Because linebackers are tweeners. They're not big enough and strong enough to rush the passer. They're too big and too slow to play corner and safety. They're just athletes, man. That's why everyone's got them. If I was a defensive coordinator, I would run a 3-4 defense because it's easier to find these uber athletes that are in like the 185 to like 215 range that, or pick out however how tall they are that can run, a sub 540 than it is to find the 4 defensive linemen and then find 4 more to rotate with. Look, Levante David's really good. His tackling has started off a little shaky. Quan Alexander hasn't, for me, from what I've seen so far, hasn't really taken the next step, even from his rookie year. Let's honestly talk about this. Quan Alexander won the job from a free agent that we signed as a 4th rounder, like almost
Bruce Allen was his name, if I remember correctly.
Excuse me. I think you're right. So right off the bat, we're like diamond in the rough. Look at this guy. Already took this position from a vet day 1 training camp. Week 2 or 3, Quan has that monster game where he gets like 21 tackles against the Falcons, strips the ball from Julio Jones, and he's sort of been riding that performance ever since. He still, this has cleaned up. At least last year, he wouldn't hit his run gas where he was supposed to. He would guess too much. I didn't see that a lot Sunday, honestly, but I didn't specifically look for it. He's always been a liability in the passing. I mean, you saw him. His angles were terrible yesterday. Terrible. Like he was trying to run straight at Ted Ginn Jr., and Ted Ginn Jr. had the corner. Like, he wasn't even taking the angle. Kamara comes out of the backfield and has got a 5-yard separation from him.
Right.
He is a liability in pass coverage. He just is, and he took bad angles. Now, can he clean it up? Well, I hope so. But you look at, Levante David missed a big tackle that was like 2nd and 12 or something, and Breeze threw it short to the tight end. And if Levante would have tackled him, it would have been like 3rd and 8 or something. But he missed a tackle, and they pick up the first down, and down the field the Saints go. So even though I like our linebackers, I'm not. Since I'm a Bucs fan, I'm not going to go as far to be like, I'd rather have these guys, because I think they're very good. I think they're both Pro Bowl caliber. The problem is every other team in the NFL just about has Pro Bowl caliber linebackers. It's just an easy position to fill. So this, I guess, aura around our linebackers of how they're the best in the league, and they don't do anything wrong, and don't think that. They're good, yeah, but they're not the best in the league, and they're not really even close. And right now it's because of Quan in the passing game, and Levante David missing some tackles early this year.
I said this to somebody during the preseason, and I've had a few other people kind of confirm it for me. And as much as I hate to say this, I hate to say this a lot, I feel the same way about Quan Alexander, that he, I want Quan Alexander to come out and be this big mega, he's the next best thing. Yeah, he made it in the Pro Bowl, but he was the 6th alternate or something that year. I think Quan Alexander is good. I hear Quan Alexander say, it's my defense and I'm going to take it over. And, it gets me in all the right places and makes me go, hell yeah, let's do it. And
well, now do it.
Yeah.
He's starting to fall in the Gerald McCoy category for me.
Except he's not actually as good as Gerald at his position as Gerald is at Gerald's position. And that's kind of the thing of going, I kind of want to go back, and we've got 3 years worth of film, and this is now year number 4 of saying, how good has he been really since his rookie year. Like he occasionally has these big monster games, which makes him look awesome. But outside of that, I mean, he guesses wrong a lot on which gaps to jump into. Angles aren't always there.
He can't cover.
You're right. And, he may get these big, huge games, or be like a leading tackler, but that's what you do at the linebacker spot is you're the guy who tackles, right? So, of course you're going to be, that's just the nature of your job. So, I'm not saying that Quan is a bad player at all. And I'm not saying that he can't be the captain of the defense. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't be the Mike linebacker. I'm just saying
he's not as good as everyone thinks he is. Or counts him up to be.
Well, what I am saying is I'm beginning to suspect that. And I think this is his year to prove us, not to prove us wrong, but I think this is his year to become what we all think he is.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like this is his year to actually become that and to step into that and to not just prove us wrong, but to say, no, he really is that good. And so I hope he does it. Based on what we saw, especially in the first quarter of the Saints game, I don't think he is. I'm
not going to make a judgment off that.
Exactly. Exactly. You can't do that
early and blah blah. You can build. You can build all these excuses for him, but
off of one quarter of a first game. Exactly.
That we won.
Yeah, we're not gonna judge a character's worth or value. But I mean, in a year where
it's getting me about put up or shut up time. It's getting to the point where I'm tired of hearing Quan talking, and now it's time to show me.
Right.
Because when you stand out for me is when you're messing up, not when you're making great plays. That's what's more prevalent for me now. It's when you're taking the wrong angle that shows up more. When Kamara's breaking away from you for 5 yards, that's what's showing up more. Not the 2 yard, you shoot the gap and tackle the running back 2 yards in the backfield, which he did have one, by the way. Mm-hmm. But those are the things that you expect to show up 5, 6, 7 times a game, or that might be a little much since it's tackle for loss, but at least stopping the guy around the line of scrimmage, maybe for 2 yards or less. You expect to see that, and every once in a while, okay, he got burnt there. Okay, it's Alvin Kamara. What are you going to do? But when the negative plays about his defense of play starts to outweigh the positive plays, how good are you? I mean, would you argue that Quan Alexander is better than Luke Kuechly?
No.
Would you have 3 years ago?
Yes.
Exactly.
I would say he could be better than Luke Kuechly. 3 years ago, I wouldn't say he is, but I mean, it certainly seems like he could be. Now I might have that conversation about Levante and Luke Kuechly, although they play different positions. Technically, they're in the same unit. We could have that conversation. But yeah, I wouldn't. I
still think Luke, but it's a much closer competition.
It is. It definitely is. So, man, it's an interesting thing. And like I said, I'm not saying that Quan Alexander is a bad player. I'm just saying I feel like I suspect we as fans, and this is on us, have overhyped Quan. And especially where we're in this, this big contract year. Oh my gosh, how are they ever going to re-sign Quan and Allie and Donovan and Jameis to these next big contracts because they're all going to want to get paid? Of course they are. Quan's
he's playing at $8 million right now instead of 10, 11, 12.
Right. So I don't necessarily anticipate a big, huge monster contract for Quan. It'll probably be a good contract. A contract any of us would gladly sign to go play football.
No,
but but this is the year, and this is where I do that. I'm withholding judgment on this whole thing until I see how this year plays out.
Yeah,
this is the year that Quan needs to step up and prove or show us that he is what we all think he is, or what we have thought that he is. Because truth be told, looking at it objectively, and I can do this as a fan, I can look at stuff objectively. He's not been what we have all thought that what I think we have hyped him up to be. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on to finish up Trevor's email here. He says the real surprise. There is more. The real surprise is the offense. I thought that we would put up about 24 points on the Saints, and that would be an okay day. I never imagined that they would double that and win a shootout. Everyone played great on that side of the ball. Just like with the defense, the offense will not perform that way every week. Trevor, I think that is a fantastic point. We I mean, listen, if the Buccaneers go out every week and they hang 40+ points on defenses, this team's going to be unstoppable. I don't think that's going to happen. Ren, I don't know that we've ever actually got to discuss this, but my kind of sense, my feeling, my prediction for this team is that they're going to wind up averaging about 28 points a game. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but I think they're going to average in around that 28 as opposed to what we averaged last year, like 22. Maybe it wasn't even that. Was it even in the 20s, like 19?
I don't know, Brett. I will not be making a prediction.
Yeah, it's a gut feeling. And my problem is that I feel like the defense is also going to allow 27, 28 points a game. So, and that's average. Some games will be more, some games will be less. But Trevor, I'm with you. The big point of that being, I would not anticipate this offense running up the score like that every single week. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong, and I will be glad to admit that I was wrong. But I do think that the team will still play well. I still think they will hang a lot of points out there. It's just not necessarily going to look like what it did this past week.
Yeah, I remember a Bucs team, and it's been talked about like, hey, they tied the franchise record. If it wasn't for Dog Gonzaro, because he is a dog, not bad way, good way. Cat Gonzaro missing that kick, they would have set the all-time franchise record for points. Now, I remember being an opening day, and Steve DeBerg was our cornerback, and I think we were playing the Falcons. Might have been the Chiefs, but I think it's the Falcons. And I think we put up 48 opening day against the Falcons. Steve DeBerg threw like 5 touchdowns, and everyone's like, what's going on? This isn't the team that we've been, blah, 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 blah. And if I go back and look, I don't think we won 5 games. Like, that's how bad it was. So do I think that that's what's going to happen to this offense, this team? Absolutely not. But this is a rarity what this offense is going to do. Probably. The Rams put up like 36 points last year. I think our offense just has just as many good, players in skill positions on offense as the Rams do. And it, even though Sean McVay is this new sort of offensive play calling guru, what we've seen from Monken and, 4 preseason game and a regular season game, like he ain't too shabby either. So there's, I'm not going to, like you said, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm not going to jump out in front and say, here we go, Super Bowl, we'll outscore everybody 56-55. But I think a game like where you only punt once isn't going to be the outlier. It's not going to be the norm. So, full steam ahead, I guess. I'm not sure to wrap that up.
Something that, one of the things you always hear about is the hardest time to defend against a coach is in their first year, because you don't know what they're going to do. Like it's right. It's that whole, it's that whole first year type thing. Right. I've heard that quite a bit. So, in some ways, if Monken is going to continue to call these plays, and I go back to, he's not doing it in a vacuum, but still he's the one who, he's pulling out stuff that Cutter wouldn't pull out, or historically has not pulled out.
QB snake.
Yeah, exactly. This could be a very interesting year for the Buccaneers, and defense is trying to figure out how Monken calls plays. And I'm not saying that I think they should do this, and you're probably going to make fun of me for even suggesting this. And I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying it's kind of that, like, if I'm writing my own fanfic of how this thing goes, it'd almost be interesting to me to see like Cutter and Monken like occasionally just swap duties for the game just to throw the other team off. Like they don't know who to prepare for. It'd be an interesting thing. Like what if? All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment.
Speaking of Cat and Zaro, Trevor finishes out.
Wait, I did like how you said fanfic. Like, yeah, you're so immersed in the fan fiction genre that you have abbreviations for it.
There you go. Hey, I'm so immersed in fanfic, I'm writing fanfic about real life stuff.
There you go.
That's fan fiction for anyone who, doesn't know. Anyway, he says, lastly, Cat and Zaro, the dude was 8 of 9 on kick attempts. When was the last time we had a kicker do that, as well as do well over 9 kicks? He also boomed just about every kickoff, 9 of those as well through the end zone, and some of those would have gone through the uprights if it was centered. It would have been great if he'd made that last field goal, but I'm not going to demonize him for missing his last kick on a day when he had to kick the ball that often. Keep up the great work, guys, and go Bucks. I will say
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll say this about Catanzaro. He missed a critical kick that would have iced the game and would have changed the whole feeling of the end of the game. At the end of the game, though, I don't. It's not that it didn't matter. It just we still came out on top, which was great.
And the Saints even got the ball back to try to score, and then try to get the 2-point conversion.
Right. So, all of that said, whatever. Overall, looking at the kicker, and I know a lot of people are kind of pissed off about Catanzaro. Look, here's the deal. Anytime a kicker comes into Tampa Bay and they miss a kick, at least right now, because of what we've dealt with, it doesn't matter if they've been perfect everywhere else and they miss this one kick. People are going to freak out over this guy and say, "Oh, he can't kick. He's we're right back into this whole thing again." And we can't do that because no kicker is perfect. No kicker is at 100%. We would all love for them to be, but they're not. And I've personally said that for me, Catanzaro, if he comes in and he kicks 85% over the course of the year, I'm good with that. Now, if we just take field goals, he made 2 for 3, so that puts him at 66%.
Got some work to do.
He's got some work to do, but that's actually only for one game. He only had 3 attempts. So he's either 100 or 66. So I'm not ready to villainize or demonize him yet, but I am watching, and I need to see that number stay above 85. I'm not expecting him to be perfect, and I don't want to say I'm okay if he's not perfect, but 85% or better, and I'm not going to say much. I'm just not.
Really? Because you're still talking.
No, because I was done. But anyway, all right.
I'm crampy.
You're crampy. You're crabby. All right.
Wait,
oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. Well, I don't think how many times he actually kicks the ball. I mean, that's not a thing. He kicked it 9 times. His leg was tired. I don't think that's a thing, Trevor. I like your creativity in trying to put a positive spin on it. Look, he missed the biggest kick there was. Okay. But as to what Brent was saying, 85% is really high. Like most NFL kickers around 80%. Good ones are like around 82, 83%. Dan Bailey, who just got cut by the Cowboys, had the highest field goal percentage ever in the NFL, and his was 87. So, the most accurate kicker in the history of NFL is 87. So guys are going to miss kicks. I get it. As long as he's over 80%, he's doing his job. It's not how many you miss, it's when you miss them. And of all the ones he could have missed yesterday, that was not the one to miss. And he missed it. So it's more of a pressure thing. It's not that he can't make it. It's more of a pressure thing.
All right. Trevor, thank you so much for your email. We look forward to seeing you in more of the Instant Cast chat rooms and hearing from you as the season goes on. All right. 2 more emails, both a lot shorter than that one. The next one comes in from our friend Sean, who I do know for a fact is in the Pewtercast Fantasy Football League. He says, "Hey guys, this is Sean from the Nashville area. Just wanted to give my thoughts on the Eagles matchup. I am still hyped from how good this offense looked in week 1, but the Eagles are the defending champions in part because of how smothering their defense is. So Monken and company have their work cut out for them. The offensive line will have to trust their hands will have their hands full. The offensive line will have their hands full, and I think getting Barber going will be a bigger priority this week. I think our receivers can still make plays even against their talented secondary, but a good running game will help keep Michael Bennett and Fletcher Cox off the bearded one." I don't know much about the Eagles defense, Ren, I got to admit.
They're pretty nasty. They were all over Matt Ryan. I think they got like 6 sacks, and the Falcons are considered to have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
So they're bringing pressure. Basically what they were doing, and I think this is more Matt Ryan's fault than anybody. Matt Ryan's gotten to the I'm a safe quarterback type of mode now that Shanahan has lost. Like, if pressure's coming, he's going to take the check down. Just get it out, take the check down, take your chances. That's kind of what he does. It's kind of what Drew Brees does too. Now in his sort of his twilight years. So the Eagles were bringing just one more than the Falcons could block, and Matt Ryan just kept, instead of standing in there or sliding in the pocket or rolling out and trying to find a one-on-one deeper down the field, you just check it down. Eagles come up, make the tackle, and it's kind of like how the whole game went. Like, Matt Ryan, after sort of like the first quarter, didn't really push the ball down the field much that I remember. So the Eagles' defense is going to be nasty. I think this is going to be more of the threat of the run with Peyton Barber than it is going to be like this huge running game for Peyton Barber. I don't think there's any cornerback any back seven in the league that can keep up when we go four wide. And I don't mean four wide receivers. I mean release four guys out there, keep Jahuz Rodgers in there as the sixth back, and send out Howard, Godwin, DeShaxon, and Evans. Like somebody's got to be their third best corner. Somebody's got to be like a safety's got to be on somebody, or a linebacker's got to be on somebody, and you just identify it and throw it to them because I will take those chances like all day long. So I like how the Bucs are identifying who's one-on-one, and they're sending them deep, and they're going after you. And they're just like, my guy's going to beat your guy. Here's the ball. And they're doing it early. They did it all preseason, to be honest. But I guess to round this off is I expect a much more physical game than the Saints game. I hope there's not a lot of injuries, but injuries could play a big part as far as the Buccaneers' offense and defense, especially in our secondary. Man, if our secondary gets banged up, we are in deep trouble. It's like I would not be surprised to see Justin Evans playing nickel slot at one point.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, and we'll save the majority of this for our Buck in the News show that comes out later this week. But it's not looking good for Vernon Hargreaves right now. It is potentially that he will be out for the season. But yep, that is the report. The Buccaneers are waiting until he gets a second opinion from Dr. Andrews. That guy, the big guy, they don't send Claypool to him unless it's, unless they really want to,
Is Claypool the same thing as people?
Yes, it is. It's late.
Yeah, it is.
But, they're waiting, but there are some people who are reporting that he's out for the year. And there's other people who are saying, no, they're not making any decisions till they hear from him. But it's not looking good.
Yeah, but he's out for the year.
And that's what they're saying. He could be out for the year. So, that's why the Bucs had in a new cornerback. Yeah, a couple new cornerbacks, and they signed one of them as a veteran. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, if Grimes isn't back yet, we'll see what happens with him and his injury report as the week goes on. That secondary, like I said on the last episode, it still got some holes. It's not completely filled, even though we drafted 2 corners in this past draft. We've still got to get, we've got to get that whole thing shored up. All right. Moving on. He says defensively, this is obviously an easier matchup than we faced last week, but it's also not going to be a cakewalk. Foles has owned us in the past, and they have a heck of an offensive line, not to mention Zach Ertz. I'd expect Ertz to play early and often, as well as plenty of quick passes to Nelson Aguilar, yeah. Don't be surprised either if Darren Sproles is a big part of their game plan. They saw how we struggled to contain Kamara, and Sproles can do a lot of the same things he can do. If we can contain Sproles and pressure Foles, we can beat this team. I don't expect another week 2 meltdown. In fact, I'm calling it. I'm locking it up. Bucks win 20-17. Thanks, guys. Sean, P.S. I'll see you week 11 in Fantasy Ren, or as I call it, my bye week. Boom.
Dickhead. Cut that kid out of the league. I'm assuming he sent that before you just dropped this bombshell on me about Vernon Hargreaves. I'm physically ill right now.
Yes.
Thinking about how we're going to have to go forward without Grimes and Hargreaves. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And how bad is that? Like there was people like, Hargreaves, you're not playing well. Like if you don't ship up this year, you're going to you're not going to start, and you might not make the team next year. And now he's out, and we're all like, oh my God, Hargreaves is out. What are we going to do? Oh man. Here we go. We're going to have to make it work, and it's not. And I think we're going to have to make it work by. I think Smith is going to go soft and make him dink and dunk down the field, bend don't break, and hope that the offense shoots themselves in the foot. Get ready for that for 16 more games,
and get ready for people
15, obviously
holler at Mike Smith all year long.
Yep.
All right, Sean, thank you for your email.
Now he has a built-in excuse that he can come back next year.
Oh, well, this is the last year of his contract, I think, right? Like, they'd have to actually do an extension for him to come back.
Who cares?
Yeah. All right. Anyway. All right.
Overreacting. I'm overreacting.
Final email, and this will wrap up the show as well, comes from Adam. This is a question. Now, Rand, I got it. Before we begin this, I'll just tell you, I didn't actually know the answer, so I went and looked it up just to see, because I figured something. So we'll go through it and see.
Is this the point where I say that I don't get to preview these questions? Because apparently some podcasters think that's a big deal. They like to talk about it every episode. I did not see these questions, so I'm taking this off.
You're taking this blind. Right.
Okay. Whatever.
I only read the short ones
anyway,
beforehand.
Sorry,
so.
I'm cranky and crampy, so apologies for that. But seriously, quit talking about it.
I just ordered some Idol. It should be Amazon droned over to you.
By the time you get stuff to people, I'll get it in like 6 months.
Probably.
Yeah. Talking about my flag that was supposed to be here. Anyway, we're getting tired and we're annoying the listeners. Where are we at?
This email comes from Adam. And let's hear it. This email comes from Adam, and it says, "Hey guys, did you notice on the last Bucs drive after Peyton Barber lost 4 yards on the first down that the clock stopped?" It says, not. "This ended up not mattering because we picked up the first down and ran out the clock, but this could have been a huge 40 seconds extra for Drew Brees.
No,
do you think this is responsible?" Here, I'll just finish it because here it is. "Who do you think is responsible for missing this on the Bucs sideline?" It's from Adam.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier in the last pod when it was sort of my keys to the game, my final takeaways. It was a holding call.
Right.
That's what happened. Is he lost like 4 yards and Doc got called for holding, but they declined it, which made it. And it wasn't 4 yards; it was 2 yards, which made it 2nd and 2. They ran Barber up the middle again, made it 3rd and 11. Then Fitzpatrick ran around. That's why the clock stopped. Is because there was a penalty.
Right.
And if you accept it or decline it, the clock doesn't start again until you snap the ball. So
it's good eye, but to be clear on that, the clock when they accept or decline the penalty, it is when they restart the clock, except for in the final 2 minutes of the first half and the final 5 minutes of the last half of the second half. Do what?
That's what I said.
Right. I'm just I'm clarifying for anybody out there who might not have got it that in those two time frames, when they stop the clock because of a penalty, because they'll stop the clock because of the penalty the whole game long. It's just once they accept or decline it, the ref will restart the clock, except for in this time zone which we were in, which is why they didn't restart the clock once they accepted the penalty or declined the penalty. Actually, in this case. So that's why they stopped the clock and then left it there. So,
I'm just teasing. No, good info on that. Way to look it up.
All right. Sure. Well, that is going to run out. That's going to be it for this show. That is all of our emails and fan interaction. So thanks to everybody who sent stuff in. We definitely appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and you guys sending this stuff in is what allows for a 4th show of the week to be able to come out. You guys be on the lookout. We have our Buck in the News show coming out. It'll be late Friday night, early Saturday morning, and that'll be where we kind of wrap up the entire week. We'll look at the final injury reports. We'll look at the transactions throughout the week, and we'll look at some of the major headlines coming out. And then, of course, be sure to join us for the Instant Cast Sunday night, 9 o'clock. We may actually push that one to 10 o'clock, Ren, since I'll be driving back in from Tampa that night. To make that happen. But you guys stay tuned to our Twitter feed. Stay tuned to our Twitter feed, and we'll let you know that for sure one way or the other. But right now, scheduled for 9 o'clock. You guys can find all of our Twitter stuff at the Pewtercast on Twitter. Find us on Facebook.com/ThePewtercast, or shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We're in as we get out of here. Why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you on the internet?
My apologies for being cranky and cutting off Brent a lot and being mean to people, but sometimes I'm a child and that's what you get. So at Rendax on Twitter, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
And if you guys want to get a hold of me personally, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And if you want to join in with the growing community of our patrons, become part of supporting the show and making all the cool stuff happen as the show continues to grow and evolve, you can find out more information about that at patreon.com/thepewtercast. Well, guys, until next time, go Bucks.